What is the current mood with United? Ten Hag is staying for another season. His first season going into this one. What is the mood?
From a lot of people I speak to, and myself, I'm happy that Erik ten Hag is staying. I think that whilst there were issues last season, and I'm not going to defend or excuse finishing 8th in the Premier League, United should never be finishing that low. Especially not, let's not forget, in that first season, he finished 3rd. The first season, Erik ten Hag, it's not like it was the first season was 7th and then he just dropped down a place. We went from finishing 3rd and winning a trophy to finishing 8th and thankfully winning the trophy again. So I'm not going to excuse that, but we did have a lot of injuries, even by United standards or anyone's standards. We had a revolving door in the centre-back positions. We missed key players for big chunks of the season. Luke Shaw missed half the season. Lisandro Martinez missed 3/4 of the season, if not a bit more. And he's such a vital player to Manchester United. So there were mitigating circumstances. And then to win that FA Cup, you can't ignore that. 2 trophies in 2 years, back-to-back trophies, and beating Manchester City in the final. I think he deserved another season. And I know he's got an extension, so he's here for, it should be, hopefully, at least another 2. I'm pleased about that. And the fact that United have gone early in a couple of signings, Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna looks like a talented young attacker. And also Lenny Yoro from Lille, another good young player. United are acting sensible, which we don't usually do, Manchester United. We usually sort of waste a load of time chasing players we can't get, overpay on certain players or buy players we don't really need. So it just feels like since Ineos have come in, things are looking a little bit more professional, a little bit more grown up. We've brought in Omar Barada from Manchester City as our CEO. We've brought in Jason Wilcox, I think, as our director of football or a sporting director. Also, Dan Ashworth has come in. It seems like United are being run the way a football club the size of Manchester United should be run. And to be honest with you, the way we should have been run post Sir Alex Ferguson. We should have done this in 2013, but we didn't. This is where we're at. And yeah, I think the mood, in going back to your original question, I think the mood is pretty positive.
How do you reckon Town will do? Can they do it? You saw last year, 3 teams went up. They went straight back down. Hopefully Town can stop that trend.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, and this is probably one of the few times you'll ever hear me utter these words on a video, but I don't know. It is the big unknown. There's every chance that Town could come up and that Kieran McKenna could continue what he's been doing since he's got on Ipswich Town and just defying the odds and like surprising everyone and punching above his weight, or you could come up to the Premier League and it's a step too far. Because the issue you've got is, and I speak to, I do certain videos and podcasts with fans of teams that have just been promoted or teams that are fighting relegation, and pretty much all of the presenters and all the contributors say the same thing. You just want to find those 3 teams that are worse than you. That's it. Just find those 3 teams that are worse than your team and just finish, I mean, you might have higher ambitions. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but finishing 17th is success because you're in that Premier League and then you can hopefully build on that. And I look at the teams from the Premier League that sort of going into the season, the ones that have been promoted, I think Leicester and is it Southampton as well, obviously, have got that little bit more Premier League experience. They've been in the Premier League a lot over the last sort of 10, 15 years, whatever. That gives them a little bit of an advantage. Then you've got the other teams that struggled, that were sort of flirting with relegation, the likes of Everton, the likes of Nottingham Forest. Some of them were flirting with relegation because they had points deducted as well. Plus, they've got quite a little bit of Premier League pedigree, and they've spent a lot of money, and they've got a little bit more money. So I think it's going to be very difficult for Ipswich. I really do. I don't really know. My heart tells me that Kieran McKenna can continue this journey that he's been on and keep defying the odds and silencing those critics, or silencing the doubters, I should say, because I think he's already silenced the critics. I think he did that in his first season. So yeah, I'll tip you to stay up. I think that you can do it. I think he can do it, but it's going to be difficult. I always say this with newly promoted teams: you just need to get off to a start that shows you're not out of your depth. You can get off to a start where you could play the first 10 games and lose 6 of them. But if you've had a couple of wins in there and you've actually showed teams that, or a lot of those losses are close, where you go, look, we're not getting overawed here, we're up for this, then you can build on that. It's if you start off and you're just losing every single game and you're getting battered, then it's difficult to get out of that. I've seen it with so many times in the Premier League with teams where they get off off to a bad start and they can't recover from that. So, I mean, you probably laughed at Norwich when it happened to them. So I think that start is going to be vital. But yeah, I think Kieran McKenna, he's got a bit about him. He's a very astute coach, very good manager, knows what he's doing. Obviously, as players that will play for him, and as a system that works. So I think it'd be a great story if he could stay up. And I think you've got a real fighting chance. Just got to get off to that decent start. I think that's the main thing.